these scraps of reds, pinks, purples, peaches, and cut them up into these little squares to make as beautiful as this. This project is nothing but using scrap fabric, so it's a great scrap buster, and using stuff that you already have around the house. So let's get started. Be sure to stick around to the end and catch that bonus. This video is a collaboration video. It is hosted by Kate and myself. Be sure to check out her link in the description along with the playlist of all the other great creators that is making projects that is titled Handmade with Love. So we took our pile of scraps and we cut them into tiny squares. You're going to need 2 1/4 inch squares of colored and white. Then you're going to need 1 1/2 inch squares of colored and some white. And we're going to make this cute heart block. You're going to have to make 20 or so of them. They measure 4 inches finished. Okay, let's make a half square triangle. We've made them several times on this channel, but for your new people here, thank you. And so here we are. You're going to take your ruler, and I'm going to line up the 1/4 inch marking on the corners diagonal of the back side of my fabric, and then I'm going to draw a line. Then I'm going to flip it over and do the exact same thing on the other side. And these are 2 1/4 squares. You would need a white and a colored for our project, but I already did all of my white, and so instead of cutting another one, I'm just using this. So you're going to line right sides together, and you're going to go in and you're going to sew right down those lines that you marked. Now what you're going to do is take your ruler and you're going to cut right down the center between those 2 lines. So I line my 1/4 inch line up on one of the stitch marks and then cut it in half. So now we have 2 half square triangles. You're going to take it to the ironing board and you're going to press these seams open. It's just going to help everything lay flatter and line up. So you'll flatten them out just like that. Now we're going to square this up. And I have the June Taylor Perfect Half Square Triangle and 1/4 square triangle ruler. So that's what I'm going to use, but you can use just your regular ruler. If you actually look in the description, there is going to be a link for my shop, and you can be able to find this ruler in there. So with this ruler, I'm just lining up the 45-degree mark along my stitch, and I know I want to do it at a 1 1/2 inch square, and so I'm just going to cut along those lines, and then I'm going to flip it, just rotate it And then you're going to line that 45-degree mark up again, right on your stitch line. And then you're going to line up your 1.5 square markings. And now we're just going to trim these other 2 sides. And there is our squared half square triangle that we're going to use. So now let's make these hearts. So let's get started. What I do is I take and I just lay it out. And so because it's scrappy, we're just going to randomly find some different colors to throw, per se, in our block. So we're going to need 4 half square triangles. We're going to need, for the first row, let's see if I can't find some more now that I mixed them all up. Let's see. Okay, then you're going to need 4 of your solid color for the next row, and then you're going to need a half square triangle, 2 solids, let's add a purple in there, and another half square triangle. Then you're going to need a white, a half square triangle, a half square triangle, and another white. You can lay these out however you would like, as in color wise. I'm just trying to pick colors so I don't have duplicates of them. And so now what we're going to do is I lay it out so it looks like the heart. And then I sew row by row and then stitch them all together. You want to press, when you make your half square triangles, you want to press the seam open. It will just make it lay flatter for you. When you press the rest of this, if you open it up, it will lay flatter. You can see here I didn't, and it's going to have a lot of little creases. So make sure that you open your seams, press them open to help. So let's sew this block together. So I'm starting with the top row, and I flip the right one onto the left square, and we're just going to chain stitch down. Now all I do is cut off the first 2 finger press them open, and stitch them together, making sure that the points are going up when I stitch together. And I continue to do that until I have all 4 rows attached. And now that I have the 4 strips together, I'm going to take the first 2 and we're going to sew those together. And at this point, I do pin. I'm going to nestle my seams up and pin them. That way I have the perfect corners. Everything lines up nicely. And I'll stitch that down or together. And then we'll pin and sew these 2 sections together. And you definitely can make this bigger if you would like. And here it is. You're going to take it to the ironing board and give it a good press. And I use steam when I press these down. And now I'm off to make however many more. So now that we have all our hearts made, I made 24 hearts. You need 20 for the table runner and then 4 for a bonus project. So make sure you stay to the end so you can see what that bonus project is. So what you're going to do is you're going to stitch 8 of them together. I did not put sashing in between because that's how it's going to lay out with my design, and we'll get there here in a minute. So all you do is you're going to go in and you're going to, I made them all go in the same direction, but you can flip them up so every other is upside down. But you're going to nestle those seams together so your points line up. Line up your ends. And then you're going to sew at your 1/4 inch seam. And then what you want to do is take 2 hearts and you're going to sew them one on top of each other for the sides. So you'll have 2 that are up and down, and then you're going to have 2 strips that are 8 hearts across. Hello and welcome. I'm Jackie with Jackie Russell Creates, where we talk about everything quilting. I give tips, tricks, and techniques so you can conquer that next quilting project. I would like your opinion on this. What fabric should I use as the back? And should I use pink or white of the binding that I already have. Comment in the sections below. If you get something out of this video, hit that subscribe button. Give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. It really does help my channel, and I greatly appreciate it. So let's finish up this project and start working on that embroidery. I will show a couple stitches. The rest of them are already on my channel. You can find them in the embroidery playlist, which will be listed right here. So we have 3 designs. We have a heart design, some kittens, and then a love jar. I got all my templates from Jacqueline Stevens, but you can find any that you want to use on the internet. So let's get designing our embroidery. So we're going to do what's called an outline stitch, or kind of looks like a rope. So what you're going to do is you're going to come forward, go down, and then you're going to come back up even with that center stitch. So here's our stitch at the where we begin, and then here's the end of the other stitch. So we're going to go in front and then hit that end. So it's in the middle of the stitch now. And when you do this, you need to make sure that you're holding this thread on the same direction all the way around. So in front, and then hit the middle, and then pull. In front. It's kind of like the back stitch, except for you're going in the middle of the stitch. So this stitch is going to go from here to here, and you're coming up in the middle of it. I like to do this especially on curves, but it's great for outlining like letters. So once again, you're going to come down in front, come up next to the stitch in the middle, and pull. I like to do it before I pull the whole thing through. So this is how you do it if you go under. But I like to just use my finger underneath and guide it into that stitch and just, do it at one easy stroke. The thing about this is, yes, you want to use consistent stitch lengths, but you don't have to do as small of ones like you would if you were doing the back stitch on a curve. And then to end, you bring it up and go down. That first stitch at the end to continue your rope looking thing. So that is how to do an outline stitch. Now we're going to do a colonial knot. It's like a French knot. You're going to bring your needle up and you're going to create a figure 8 on your needle. Once again, you're going to come up. You're going to wrap your thread over your needle and then go the other direction so you get a figure 8. And I'm going to just pull my thread and I'm going to go down beside and pull it through. And then when you're going to go to the next one, you don't want to go from here to here and leave a big string. You want to kind of weave your thread in through previous stitches, come up, put your thread over your needle, grab from underneath, bring it and wrap it the other direction so you get like a figure 8 on your needle. Go down beside, holding your thread tight, and then pull it through. So it's very similar to a French knot, but which I can't see much difference. So if you wanted to do a French knot where it says Colonial knot, feel free to do that. Okay, I want to show you again the Colonial knot. So you bring your needle up. Then I like take my needle so the thread is over it. I pull the thread underneath and I'm holding it with my pointer. Then I'm going to bring it over, kind of like a figure 8. And then I'm going to keep it tight as I bring my needle back down close to that hole and then pull it through. So one more time. You bring it up. I bring my needle under my thread, hold it with my pointer, pull the thread underneath, wrap it around the point of the needle in a figure 8, go down by that same spot and pull. Okay, for this stitch, we're going to do a satin stitch. So you have your design. We're just going to fill in this cat's nose. So you're going to come up on the line and go straight across to the other side. And you're going to continue to do that just straight across, filling in the area that you're wanting to do. All the way across until it's filled in. Now, on the back of your pattern, you're going to want to come along so it kind of fills in the back as well. And making sure not to pull too tight. So you're coming up on the line and going across to the other side and going down on that line. You want to be close to the previous stitch that you just did, but not on top, but not so far away that you have a gap. You want it so that it lays right beside the other stitch. And so on the back, you can see where it's filling in just like it does on the front. So I'm going to And then once you have the whole area filled in, I like to go around it either with the back stitch or the outline stitch. So I just come up and go around, and that just kind of helps straighten it out, give it a smoother edge. And hide all those little ends. And now our nose with the satin stitch is finished. And then we have one more simple stitch. It is the running stitch. It's pretty much just making some dashes. You're going to come up, you're going to go down however big or long you want, and then you're going to come back up, but you want to leave a space roughly the same size as your stitch. And then you're going to make another stitch, leave a space, so it's very similar to like a basting stitch on your quilting. And you're just making little dash marks. Try to keep the spacing and your stitch the same length. So we're doing tiny stitches here. So we'll leave just a few strands of the fabric, threads of the fabric, before coming up. Now that we have our embroidery done, we're going to start to assemble it. So I just took one embroidery, and I didn't want them butted up. I wanted some space in between. So I just took some small polka dotted red fabric to separate them up, and I did this at 4.5 inches by 9 inches is what I cut the center ones at, and laid them in between the embroiders. So you'll have two of those. And the reason I did that is because I did not put sashing in between my heart, so it's all one, and I wanted a full heart in between each of the embroidery. So that's why this had to be the 4.5. So you sew your block strip in between, and now we have to add the sashing, and the sashing is 1 inch wide by the length of your table runner. Yours is going to vary depending on how many and how big your embroidery is. Then you're going to attach our heart to it, our heart strips. And so I want my hearts all facing upwards. So I'm just going to attach this heart strip to the black sashing. And if you followed my channel for any length of time, you know I like to pin the corners. Then I like to bring the corners together and find the center of what I am putting together. And I just put my finger in there and pull it down. And then I pin that center. And then I work from the center to the left and then the center to the right, just making sure everything is aligned and pinning every so often. Okay, so you sew that at 1/4 of an inch, and then you're going to press toward the sashing. Now we're going to add our sashing down our sides. This is 1.5 by 19, but yours is going to vary depending on if you made your sashing bigger, how big your embroidery is, how big your hearts are, if you added, more in. So we're going to pin these and take them to the sewing machine on each side. I am also going to do the side pieces so I can just go to the sewing machine and stitch all at once. You're going to take a 1.5 by 4.5 inch sashing and put at the top and bottom of our heart pieces. I cut 4.5 inch squares out of that same polka dot that I put between my embroidery for my corners. Now, you could use a heart instead of this fabric or a different fabric. I'm just choosing to do it, so you can do it whichever way you want. And so you want to have your corner piece sashing, your 2 heart block sashing, and then another corner piece, and you're going to sew those at 1/4 of an inch. Now we're going to take these to the sewing or the ironing board and press toward the sashing. Okay, so now we're going to stitch the side heart onto the main piece. The only thing that I did is line up the ends, and then I tried to line up the sashing, the horizontal sashing, the best I could to make sure it flows straight. We're going to take it to the ironing board once again and press those toward the sashing. And then when we come back, we're going to add a red border. Now we're going to take it to the ironing board and press toward the red sashing or red border. So there is our table runner. Now, if you made it this far, thank you. I really do appreciate it. Now you can quilt and bind however you would like. How should I do it? What color should I use as the back fabric? Should I go with red? Should I go with some white? Should I do black? Should I do a different color? And because this project was mainly using up scraps and old stuff that I have this bias binding. Should I use it, create my own? I have white and pink. Let me know in the comments below. And because you have made it this far, let's do our bonus project. So I said I made a few extra hearts. So I am actually making coasters out of them. All I did was just take the heart and put binding around. So that's what we're going to do. But you could actually put this on like a mug rug size and have white fabric over here. And you can use fabric pen and write a little valentine for either your significant other, your children, your grandchildren. That would be something that's kind of cute. You could actually take and put ribbon between these so they kind of hang. You can put a ribbon on the top and make them as a doorknob hanger just to decorate things up. So we're just going to make a mug rug and one, or not a mug rug, a coaster. Once again, I'm using some bias binding that I already had, and I'm keeping my quilting very simple. All I'm doing is going around the outside of the heart, and that's it. So for the corners, I just this corner. You come and I just fold it up at a 45 on the back, and then bring it down just like you would do if you're regular binding, and to give it that 45 degree. You can also make a curve. Then I take and just snip, and then I fold it under the end under. To give it a finished edge, and then I clip it, and then I'm just going to go around the edge with the sewing machine. I did a simple. So here is our finished table runner top. And our bonus coasters. So I hope you like this video in making this cute little project out of using nothing but scraps and stuff that you had in your stash. Until then, happy quilting, my friends.